In this video, I'm going to be talking about the most expensive lead source for real estate agents and why you actually might want to use it. When I first got into real estate, I always was wondering, like, what are the top teams doing? What are the top producers doing to generate so much business, right? I started using different free ways like expired prospecting, for sale by owner prospecting, open houses, and all of those things are great for new agents. However, what I discovered is they're not scalable. At some point, you need to start paying to build your business. So I started to kind of go on a mission, like, what are the top teams doing? And what I discovered might surprise you, and it might actually be a little controversial. I started my career at Keller Williams, and what I was learning in those classes was like how to do open houses, seller prospecting, working your sphere, networking. And while all of those things are great to an extent, and I teach a lot of those strategies, you're going to have a hard time building a big business just off of those strategies. At some point, you're going to run out of time. At some point, your time becomes more valuable than even the money you're earning. And you want to start investing money to buy back some of your time and to get to that next level. And if you're thinking about building a team, you're definitely going to need some paid lead sources. I'm reminded of the phrase, what got you here isn't necessarily going to get you there. And that's so true when it comes to investing back in your business. Now I'm going to reveal the number one most expensive lead source for real estate agents, but first, subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it, and hit that like button. All right, so here we go. So the most expensive lead source that I've found when it comes to selling houses is going to be Zillow. Now, before you shut the video off, let me talk a little bit about what that might mean for you and your business. I'm not going to get in the ethics or the morals of whether or not using Zillow is right for real estate agents. You know, some people see Zillow as an enemy, destroying the real estate agent community. But what I found is the biggest teams actually see Zillow as a strategic partner. So with Zillow being extremely expensive, I mean, for some areas, it can cost upwards of $300, $400 per lead. When I still had my real estate team, I was spending anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000 a month on Zillow, and our lead spend, and this was 6 years ago before I sold my real estate team, it was like $300 a lead. So they're extremely expensive. Now, as a newer agent, you might be thinking, well, I can't spend that much money on leads, and you're right. However, if you have a budget and you want to start investing back in your business, there is a strategy you can use when it comes to Zillow. So the first thing is you can actually look in lower priced markets around your main market. So I was in Lake Norman, which is a suburb of Charlotte, but there was a lot of, I guess, more rural areas around it where there was, still farmland. The communities were more spread out, or they're just lower priced areas. Like an example would be Concord. That's another suburb of Charlotte, but the homes were less expensive because they're outside the city and farther away from the lake where I live. So the average lead value, or the cost per lead there, might be $100, whereas in Lake Norman it was $300. So I would start by going to Zillow. You can talk to a Zillow rep if you want to explore this and see, hey, what are the areas around my main market that might be a little bit cheaper? And you find that might be actually a really good value for leads. The other thing is Zillow introduced a Zillow Flex Program. You may not qualify for it, and you may not get a lot of leads through it depending on your performance. However, the way it works is they'll actually charge you a 35% referral fee on all the deals you close, and the more deals you close, the better and the higher volume of leads you'll get from Zillow. Now this, in my opinion, isn't the best thing. The reason why Zillow introduced this is because it actually costs more to use that program than it does just paying for the leads up front. Zillow is essentially fronting you the money for your ad spend. So if you can, it's always best to pay for the lead. Same with teams. If you're on a team, you're probably gonna be paying like a 50-50 split. Whereas if you were just investing a couple $1,000s per month on your own business, you're not going to have to give away half of your commission. Now let's talk about why Zillow is such a good lead source in terms of just straight conversion rates and the effort it takes to convert these leads. Think about a buyer. A buyer is going to Zillow to search for homes. When the lead actually comes to you as the agent who's paying for the lead, they actually clicked on a specific property that they want to get more information or even go see it, versus say a Facebook lead where they're just scrolling their news feed, looking at all their friends, and then all of a sudden your ad pops up in the news feed saying, hey, look at this house, it's really pretty, and then they click it, and then they have to register to see more pictures. They might be a buyer at some point, but the lead cycle or the buying cycle on those leads can be upwards of 6 months to a year, Whereas if someone's clicking, hey, I want more info on this property, the buying cycle is so much shorter. They might be ready to buy that week. They might be pre-approved. Worst case scenario, they're probably within 30 to 90 days from buying a house. We used to also do pay-per-click advertising with Google and Facebook, and what I found is a really good conversion rate, if you're like a ninja at prospecting and following up, is going to be about 3%. 3%. So 3 out of 100 leads will actually convert. With Zillow, I found that you'll get about 1 out of every 15. So the conversion rate is way higher. On the high end, you'll convert about 10, so 1 out of every 10. On the low end, you should convert about 7 or 8. I think that's how the math breaks. So the conversion rates are going to be about 3 to 4 times better than what they are with pay-per-click. And if you start to think about what is your time worth, imagine having to go through 100 leads, follow up with potentially 100 leads to get 1 to 3 closings, versus on Zillow having to follow up with 10 to 15 leads to get to 1 closing. Now you gotta think about what is your cost to acquire a customer, right? So if you're spending, say, $300 per lead and it takes 10 leads to close a deal, that's $3,000. Say your average commission check is $9,000. Well, you just profited $6,000. We're not gonna include the commission splits in this because different brokerages have different commission splits. However, say you're on 100% because you capped at your company, well then you're gonna profit $6,000. So you paid $3,000 to acquire that customer. The commission check was $9,000. What I want you to think about, and where this gets really exciting, is the lifetime value of a client, the LTV. You need to think about what referrals are you going to get from this client? What repeat business are you going to get? Maybe they're going to buy multiple homes with you because they're an investor. But most likely, they're going to send you some referrals over the next, say, 3 to 7 years, and then the average person moves every 7-8 years, so they'll be a repeat client down the road. But if you do a good job, they're going to refer friends and family. And also, don't be just looking at it as a buyer lead. Buyers have what? They're either renting or they also have a home to sell. So you might not only get the buy side of the transaction, you also might get the listing side. So say you get a $9,000 commission on the sell side, a $15,000 commission on the buy side because they're buying a more expensive home. Well, that's, I think, $24,000 in commissions minus the $3,000 you spent on leads. Now you just profited $21,000. If you're just an individual agent, I still recommend seller prospecting. You want to be listing focused over buyer focused. In seller prospecting, it just takes hard work and consistency, but it's virtually free. You can use something like RedX. I have a link in the description if you want to save $150 from signing up, and that's cool. And I also have a free course in the description. It's 100% free. Just go ahead and sign up for that if you want to check out what does it look like to seller prospect, expired prospecting. All my scripts are there. But if you're just like, hey, I don't want to seller prospect, I just want leads coming to me, I'm too busy to deal with prospecting 2 to 3 hours a day, well, Zillow might be a good fit for you. You're still gonna have to reach out and follow up, say an hour a day, but you're spending maybe a third of the time or half the time when it comes to Zillow leads. If you're adding buyer's agents to your team, you're going to need something like Zillow, pay-per-click leads. You need to increase the lead flow to feed your team. And that's why you'll find almost every top team using something like Zillow or Realtor.com. And Realtor.com also has a program like this. However, it's going to be mostly their program where it's like Zillow Flex. Now they're doing 35% referral fees. I don't even think you can buy leads anymore through Realtor.com. So hopefully you got something out of this video. I got a tractor here cleaning the seaweed off of the beach. So it's getting a little squeaky behind me. Hopefully it's not messing with the audio too much. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go.